Yep. Okay. Yep. Uh, good. Yeah. First, I just want to start this off by saying, yes, in 2025, I did in fact defeat a lot of enemy players. It was a thing. It happened. I did that. I take full responsibility for that. And you know, it at moments, it's sad, but it's not. So, also that being said, I would like to say that I do believe GP1 deserves a lifetime ban from World of Warships. Furthermore, I would like to now address the state of World of Warships as it was the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. So, being said, it was a definite good end of the year for World of Warships. In particular, if you look at the numbers closer to Thanksgiving, I do believe World of Warships at one point was number 3 on Steam, which for a game this old, pretty darn good. That being said, I do believe that with a influx of new players, it is the time for World of Warships to capitalize and take heed in certain things that are glaringly obvious that need to be changed. And I do have a couple of things that I would like to say that would be changed for a benefit of all new players, as well as returning old players that came for some of those Black Friday events or the anniversary events or the Christmas events, to keep them there. One, a lot of those new players aren't going to understand, or the returning players aren't going to understand subs. Yes, I said it, talking about it, subs. I think that there are two glaring things that would be beneficial for World of Warships that would greatly, greatly help subs. And I know if you're a sub player, you're going to say this, yeah, well, yeah, do this, and yada, yada, yada. Whatever. I get it. It's part of the game. It's not going. But there are some glaring things that need to be addressed. First of all, before we even get into that, if we talk about submarines, just do a quick Google as to what is the quickest submarine in the United States Navy, which arguably has the greatest submarine fleet right now. How fast do they go underwater? Just it's like 33 knots, and that's at max speed. That's not consistent throughout the course of their entire trip. So for us in this game to have these physics-defying submarines that do these 180 turns while doing 40 knots is absolutely crazy. And furthermore, just the inability for there to be any real counterplay to that if there is a submarine player that knows what they're doing. Yet alone if we're even talking about crazy things like the I-56 torpedoes or whatever, that's with a grain of salt. We're talking about combating that. One of the things that needs to be changed for the betterment of that would be the ping indicators. The ping indicators are greatly, greatly inaccurate. There's especially when taking into consideration what I just said. We're talking about physics-defying submarines doing crazy things underwater that are extremely, extremely hard to combat. The ping indicators need to be somehow be more accurate, somehow need to be more visible for there to be a viable way. And furthermore, we're not even talking about the opportunity when you have a tier 6 submarine come across tier 5 ships. If you're in, okay, throwing it out there. Again, I may be guilty of this from time to time. I may occasionally seal club in a Julio Cesare. Throwing it out there. It happens. Sometimes you have bad games and you just want to go and you want to kick some puppies. Okay? Guilty of it. However, if you happen to get in an up tier, or yet alone a double up tier in the Cesare, which is fine until you have submarines, and you have a Julio Cesare that now inherently can do literally nothing because your plane-based ASW cannot combat the range of the torpedoes of the enemy submarines. You don't even know what vicinity you're going to hit them in because of the ping indications are so broken. That being said, moving forward, that needs to be changed. The other thing that needs to be changed, and I understand why it was put in place in the first place for the beginning of, the submarine iteration, The XP multiplier needs to go. That's absolutely dumb. The base XP multiplier for submarines in the game, stupid, absolutely stupid. You can go onto this channel in particular, and there are games. There's one game this past year on my stream where I can think that I had a 326k 6 kill Burgone game, and a submarine on my team with 1 kill had more base XP than me. How we can make the argument, and that's without a combat scout, by the way, so it's not like they were actively scouting even. How you can make the argument that that submarine player did more in that game than me from an XP standpoint is crazy. The other thing that needs to be considered and talked about, I know this isn't going to be a popular topic and it might upset a few people. Testing needs to be looked at. Testing has gotten out of hand. Some of the ships that are coming into game, absolutely bonkers. The Hawaii and the Brennan, if this is 4 years ago, 5 years ago, absolutely bonkers, then they don't make it through testing. This isn't going to be popular. I understand clan super testing. Good. Yeah, keep that. However, the actual testing program and the non-statistical requirement to become a tester is hurting the actual testing program. Why? Because you have ships that might be higher skill set played by maybe someone who's not statistically as good. So when you have a ship that is a higher skill set played by someone that is statistically not as good, that player is going to make that ship look worse. However, it is not worse because unfortunately that player just might not have the capability to make that ship shine rather. Glaring example is the Hawaii. How in the hell that thing got through testing with the armor profile it did is beyond me. And they're going to eventually probably nerf it, which is going to piss off a lot of people who spent money for Christmas crates to get the Hawaii. However, there are tech tree things that have made it through. Again, another one beyond Hawaii, Brennan, Valparaiso. The what the hell is that? 7 heals plus if you have the captain, you can get an additional heal for 8 heals, which is for, if you have it perked, practically absolutely bonkers. Uh, I don't even take fire prevention on mine because I just proc the funny button so often that I'm hitting the repair button. I don't gain fires. So then I put it into something. How is that making it through testing? That is not good for new players because again, you're gonna have a new player that goes into the Christmas event and goes, "Hey, I heard the Hawaii is pretty good," and they're going to then spend to get the Hawaii, and then they're going to go, "Why the hell can I not make this thing work? I feel gypped." Or the Valparaiso, "Why can I not make this thing work?" Furthermore, I've seen in countless people's discords, new players just not even understanding what their captain skill set is, and they just have, they go across with their captain perks instead of actually going down and looking and figuring out what is going to make their ship better. And you have players like that that are then going, "Why isn't this thing OP broken like it says it should be for everyone else?" That stuff is happening because there is no longer a statistical requirement for super testers. I used to be a super tester. I was for many years. I think if you watch my stream, I've mentioned why I am no longer a super tester. However, when I was a super tester in that program, there was a statistical requirement that I had to adhere to. And even at the time, with myself at a 64% win rate, I was borderline able to get into that program. Again, a 64% win rate player almost did not make it into Super Test. That used to be the statistical requirement to get into Super Test. hence why ships were a little bit more balanced back in the program as opposed to what you're seeing come out now. I hate to say it, and I don't want to upset anyone, but honestly, for the betterment of the game moving forward, that program, if anyone ever hears this or this gets put out there, needs to be revamped from that standpoint. Okay, talk about a good thing. There was a new map. New map, cool, awesome, about time. We had a new map. However, if you take away that turtle-looking shape of islands in there and you flip around those islands over here and you put one large island down there and you paint the islands white, it's old Islands of Ice. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So that's the thing. Creative. Anywho. So beyond that, I've been saying for a long time I don't need new maps, and hopefully this gets considered in moving forward in 2026. Because if you're going to have a new influx of players, they don't give a shit about new maps because they haven't really seen all of the maps that are there yet. However, what they are going to see are issues like the UI not working properly. For a game that has been out of beta for 10 years and in beta for 14 now, for the UI to still be crap in a major title like this is ridiculous. Nutty. I shouldn't have to hit my battle button 80 times to try to get into battle because my UI is not working. Why does that not work? Why does the auto resupply for your flags not work properly? That's been in the game now for 2 years. Doesn't work properly. Furthermore, a whole new set of problems is going on with the servers. Server lag issues, which I've documented on my stream, where I literally can't have my hands off the keyboard and my ship is going around in circles. You're having great months financially and you can't pay your bills for your servers or upgrade your servers because you now have an influx of players and you've downgraded your servers because you want to feed the money cow that is World of Tanks instead of now we have World of Warships and it's actually making money. So we downgraded our servers and now we don't know what to do, so now our servers suck. That needs to be looked at. So yeah, that's kind of my state of the game analysis here. We had a good end of the year. There are positives to take out of that. However, moving forward, if sweet baby Jesus, anyone from Wargaming is listening to your lowly streamer fat guy from Wisconsin who streams the game for you every night, has 38,000 games played, has played on various different levels competitively for this game, has some understanding of what the fuck is going on. Maybe listen to some of these things. Maybe now that you have a new influx of people, I get that you did away with the forums and now it's on Discord, but does anyone really check that like they used to on the forums? And more of that stuff's just gone on Reddit where you basically don't have any regulation from there from a wargaming standpoint, minus you do have Reddit moderators, but really if wargaming is not listening to their super testers, are they going to listen to their Reddit moderators? Probably not. Maybe it's time to start listening. Maybe it's finally time. Because honestly, the game has been on a downcline the past few years, and now since November, you actually might have seen a slight incline. It's time to capitalize on some of that. Some of these general maintenance things, very, very easy to fix. You're about to make a change with CV fighters within the next few days here. Why can we not have a change coming up in the next few patches for sub ping indicators and get that freaking base XP multiplier taken care of? That's easy enough. And then as far as testing goes, that's a simple overhaul of just having your community managers actually look at the profiles of the people that they're letting into the program. That's not hard. Should be easy. That's what they're there for. And then the UI, it's absolutely asinine that hasn't been fixed yet. So we can do it. We can make the game limp along a little bit longer for those of us that do love it. And I do love the game. And I think that there is a chance for it to happen. However, it's kind of in Wargaming's court now. That has been the state of the game with Bobby Boucher, Grind Stripper, Fat Guy from Wisconsin. Damn. Hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll be on streaming later on tonight. Catch you all later.